everybody, and welcome to episode 368 of the Saturn Studs Podcast. I'm Kurt, joined once again by my spectacular co-hosts, Peter and Jake.
That's right, Kurt. It's the frog in your throat competition edition, and I'm a shoo-in for the winner today. You'll get to see in real time as this frog comes out of my throat as I finish this vocal fry. For any guy who has ever woken up in the morning, you may also know this phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
What is woken
For all you guys who don't wake up, who've
Just never go to
woken up,
sleep. Never
Rip.
once been awake.
basically, there's little tuning knobs on my neck, like Frankenstein. That's what that whole thing was for, so you can tune up his voice. But speaking will do that. So as I speak, I will get higher in pitch. That's actually
All right.
hard this morning.
Don't do that. That almost broke you.
That's great audio.
We'll never do that again.
It's good radio. Cough
That's
right
my
into the
power.
mic.
No, do it right into the microphone. We want to test those.
You want to get real intimate, real ASMR-like, and just hack a lung right in there.
I'm about to turn the gain up on this bitch and start tapping it with my fingertips.
I'm gonna
I was in
jostle
a
it around.
conversation with someone yesterday, and I had to pause in the middle of a conversation to walk out of the room and just hack a loogie into the nearest sink, and then walk back in like nothing happened. Like you didn't know. You don't know shit. You would never realized the pee.
So I'm glad
Let
I'm back to being an
Get out of my
outfielder in
mouth.
softball because you can just fucking hack your loogie back there. No one knows. No one cares.
No one knows. Nobody will ever know. I used to pick flowers. I brought my Game Boy when I was an outfielder. It was Little League. Nobody's hitting it out there.
Occasionally I'll have balls
Did
hit
you-
my way, but
Are we recording this from an outfield?
No, I haven't decided on where we're gonna record this week, but it might as well be from just all over the place in a bagel, the bagel of the multiverse, because apparently that's critical to every multiversal event. And we're recording on top of that bagel. We're like the little seeds on an everything, everywhere, all at once spider bagel.
Spider bagel. I
New
really
from Panera.
hope that it does. The climactic fight does end on a bagel. Because I'm not.
That'd be a good.
I don't know. It feels like it might be a little too much undercutting.
Bagel is the pinnacle of everything.
Well, it all goes back to the beginning, right? We'll talk about.
But that
this.
wasn't the
Talk about-
first. The beginning was the first collider test where Peter Parker dies. That's the beginning.
yes.
That's what brought the spider back through.
I guess, but I don't know. Catch me out here, still holding out hope, hoping on a bagel.
Yeah, I want to go watch the first Spider-Verse. And
I watched it again because I thought I spotted a couple of continuity errors. Turns out I did. And we'll discuss those. But
We'll talk
maybe
about all of those.
it's laying seeds for some different reveal. I don't know.
could be. We'll see.
See after we get through all this really quick, because if ever there was a movie that would make me do my actual job on this show and get through trailers at a reasonable pace, it's gonna be this one.
Right, let's get right in the trailers then.
It is Trae Watch, and I will start off with one that is not on our beloved, our well, I wouldn't say beloved, maligned Rotten Tomatoes trailer.
That's more accurate, yeah.
No, I'm going to talk about quickly. I'm a Virgo, aka Little Kaiju, the story. I believe this is a Boots Riley joint.
Yes, that is correct.
And it's about a really large, a very, very tall black kid. He's like 13 feet tall, and he's coming of age. And it's a little bit of magical realism going on around here in that way that it does.
Yeah.
I think there's like a superhero going on in it, and it's a lot of him bumping his head on stuff because he's just gigantic.
Yeah, I wonder
And
how
lots
many
of hilarity ensues.
how many variations of that joke you can possibly do and have it be funny.
We are going to find out, kids.
Yeah, he's really tall. Okay, I didn't watch the trailer, but yeah, okay, I get it. There's a lot of those jokes.
Young
popping his
back
head.
pain from hunching over.
This is interesting. It looks a lot better than I would have expected, like a live action large person. Because the last time I've seen something like this, it was like the BFG, and that did not go over very well.
Oh, ooh. Yeah. No, this kind of has the same aesthetics for me as like a music video. Like this feels like an extra long skit before a music video starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the budget doesn't seem to be huge on this. Oh, it's a TV series.
Oh, it's a TV show?
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
That is actually intriguing.
So I guess we're really going to find out how many.
How many hit your head on the ceiling jokes there are going to be?
Yeah.
Every episode there has to be at least like 5.
Absolutely. It's got to be one of those where it goes from funny to unfunny, back to funny, back to unfunny, and then one more time back to funny. It's got to make the cycle twice.
That's tough to do. That's a big ask.
You didn't care for what was the movie? I beg your pardon. Sorry to bother.
Sorry to bother you. Yeah.
Sorry to bother you.
I wanted to like it, but it just wasn't very good.
So maybe this will be a step up. Who knows? I do see a lot of comments in this talking. They saw the word Virgo and their astrology brain just fucking took over like a head parasite. And they're like, "Oh, I'm a Virgo. I'll watch this."
I'm a Virgo, and I love being a hermit. LOL, proud Virgo.
just not engaging with the content at all. They just saw the word Virgo.
Yeah.
It's like a sleeper code.
Quote, people are going to try and use you, and when they can't use you no more, they are going to try to get rid of you. Life of a Virgo. Let's go. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because the month you're born in determines so much about
it determines the rest of your fucking life.
Such a dumb fucking idea.
My Mercury was in Gatorade when I was born, so I don't know what that means.
There was mercury in your Gatorade when you were born. That's why you turned out the way you did.
That's why I have the fin. Swim class.
Fitting right in down on the coast. Well, you guys crabs are so popular here. Glad to know I have a claw too.
I mean, carcinization is just slowly happening to the people of Baltimore.
I love carcinization, and I can't wait until we become crabs. And I hope maybe my fin is the beginning stage of that carcinization. I got some scaly skin on my left thigh. That might be the beginning of my shell, maybe.
It might also just be a sulfuric acid burn.
It might also just be ashy.
Yeah. I don't use lotion at all. I take a shower in sand.
You get shell polish?
Yeah, I jump into a walnut blaster, and that just cleans me right off. I use crushed walnuts to just take off the outer layer of
dirty.
Skin and
like
dirt.
A walnut. Babe,
yeah,
I'm gonna get you a walnut blaster.
We don't have showers here. We have walnut blasters, and if it's an extra ripe day, we'll just hop in the sand blaster. I'll peel that outer layer of skin right off. You don't need it. You'll grow it back fast.
You got 6 more.
Speaking of disfigurement, The Hill.
Yeah.
Um,
This is a bit of a throwback type movie. It's inspirational sports movie starring Dennis Quaid, who's sounding and looking a lot like Tommy Lee Jones these days.
yep.
And it's
Yeah,
about
this feels like it's coming right out of the writer's strike.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be
The writing in
fine.
this trailer doesn't seem uh, really. It seems on par.
It's very
We'll say.
boilerplate. Yeah, like there's this feels like it could just as easily be like a fake movie trailer for a generic inspirational sports movie.
Yes.
So like there's nothing new here. Nothing's really going to be innovated upon. It's from the people who wrote Rudy and the Hoosiers, so they've got experience in this genre. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. They'll show it in. This is the movie you wheel into class when the teacher has a hangover.
They wheel in the giant cathode ray tube TVs and
Yeah, this is going to be in your anti-ableism class, just as. Well, I mean, so like.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like remember
It took me a
what
second.
Remember the Titans is to racism.
yeah.
The Hill will be to ableism.
And there's gonna be like one crippled kid in the back who gets really kind of like awkward whenever this plays. It's like, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna cure my disease, but I guess this kid can play baseball.
Everyone just starts looking at him.
So when are you gonna stop faking, nerd? I bet he's not even crippled. Tip him.
When does like
Tipple the cripple.
Yeah, when does anti-ableism sentiment reach the fever pitch where bullies start picking on the kid in the wheelchair? Like pushing him out there. It's like I don't want to treat him any different.
We're probably already there. All the kids are so online that they're like, like he bullies me online on COD every night, so I'm gonna tip him over when I see him in school the next day.
Yeah.
You called me 3 different slurs.
You're an awful person. You just happen to be in a wheelchair.
Yeah. I'm gonna tip him over. He's awful.
It's all about it's all about the handicapped school shooting. Where the kid with MS comes in and one of his hand crutches is just an AK.
Are you suggesting that like a fucking FDR werewolf slayer minigun in the wheelchair school shooter?
I am advocating for a Killer 7 sort of school shooting situation.
FDR.
You gotta have diversity in our school shootings if we're gonna progress as a country.
You know, I think I did see something about the NRA coming out with a new handicap accessible AR-15 where it's mountable to your wheelchair.
Let's take a look.
So I can see that.
Okay, so the movie I was referencing was FDR American Badass, and just I'll link the IMDb. Just look at the movie poster. That's what I imagined when Peter said the handicapped school shooting.
Wait, for which? The IMDb for which?
FDR American Badass. I put the link in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, that's about it. But I did find some actual images of wheelchair rifle mounts because I mean, if they want a sport shoot, I guess you got to be able.
Makes sense.
Got to have that chance.
I have the full trailer. For those of you watching the video version of this podcast, please enjoy the full trailer of FDR American Badass without sound.
It's going to go on in the background there. Oh, this is one for quadriplegics. So like, it's remote. You can do it by remote.
It has
like
the little the straw thing. Yeah,
it's a robot armature.
I don't know what that is, but it's something for sure. I can tell you that much.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but my words control a $2,500 robotic servo that can shoot you from from 500 yards out.
Alrighty.
That's amazing.
Let's talk about Hidden Strike, a movie that probably won't be like a great movie, but I still am interested to see Jackie Chan and John Cena star in a low budget Mad Max ripoff.
Like, I guess this was the one upside of of them both expressing very strong China loyalties. Is that we can have team up movies like this.
Well, I don't. John Cena, I don't know that I expressed strong China loyalties. I think he was maybe encouraged by the CCP to read a prepared statement after he egregiously acknowledged the existence of Taiwan.
You get to Bing chilling with Jackie Chan.
Why don't you Bing chill out, John Cena, with your political rhetoric?
Yeah. They've done a lot of makeup on Jackie Chan.
Oh yeah, he's got the CGI Vaseline all over him. Cena too, a little bit, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the
They gotta
clips, he
cover up
looked
that
like
bald
a
spot.
fucking swollen Joel McHale.
This has the classic, this also has the classic, the Chinese title card segments where all the words are made out of granite flying through the air. I don't know how to describe it specifically, but it is a very particular way of doing the intertitles.
Well, it's
in a trailer.
It's a very old, I don't know, mid-aughts, maybe extending into the early 20-teens style of when you were making your titles, everything had to be textured and match the vibe of the movie you're trying to make. Every action movie had either concrete or granite or barbed wire shit all on their fucking letters. I can give you a million examples of this, Punisher Warzone and fucking Crank and
probably many of the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, there's
anything with Gerard Butler in that time period.
Yes. Oh, Blood. Blood
Probably
was the other popular
fucking. I bet you Shanghai Nights.
Kick Ass.
Sequel to Shanghai Noon.
Oh yeah.
Shanghai Nights. Those
Just
were
pick any
movies.
Lightly actioned movie from this era.
Yeah.
And I will bet you dollars to donuts.
So this movie feels like a throwback in that regard, and I'm here for it. I miss the schlocky action of that era, where it was all low consequences and just you watched it, you enjoyed it, or you didn't, but you at least found something that you were like, yeah, that was mildly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, that's Trae Watch. I think that's a record. I think it's the fastest.
I'm on my hustle game today.
Fastest
Didn't take much.
Trae Watch ever. Let's talk now of follow up. Let's follow up on some of these movies we've looked at in our trailer segment. And Memorial Day weekend was last weekend, so we have a big old box office to look at here. Counting the Monday here, Little Mermaid opened with a preposterously high $118 million in 4,300 theaters.
Kid movies, man. They don't care. They don't care about quality.
I guess
it's like they can't. It's like they have to try to not make money.
Well, yeah, because you see, the thing is, not all of them did, right?
That's true. Peter Pan and Mary Jane,
Wendy,
the fuck
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Well, that went straight to Disney Plus, didn't it?
Yeah, that went straight to Disney Plus, and that I heard that was pretty bad.
So did Lady and Well, most of them have been bad. I have heard very few people say that any of the Disney remakes are objectively good movies. But the reason they make money is that you get all of your Disney adults to go see it because they have
And
the
they bring
childhood
their
nostalgia,
Disney kids.
and now they have kids. Now they're
Yeah.
all in their 30s and they all have fucking kids, so you have like double the money, sometimes even more than that, because maybe they have more than one kid.
Well, on top of that, it's like, people are going to be curious regardless to go see it. So, like, they might walk out thinking they hate it, but Disney's already got your money.
Yeah.
Like,
That's how it
it's just
works.
like-
Disney's got your money.
you can hate it all you want. They already got your money. They don't care about your opinion.
Yeah, they don't give
Yeah,
shit.
it's a money printing machine. What do you guys think the next big? Well, yeah. Before we head into spotlights, what do you guys think the next big Disney remake is going to be?
Well, we already know what it is. It's the Questlove directed Aristocats
Oh, yeah.
remake. That's going straight
That's
to
right.
Disney Plus.
My foolishness for thinking Disney didn't already have 5 more of these lined up.
I don't know. The morbid part of me wants to see them remake Pocahontas,
Yeah.
just to see how much of that movie they're willing to stick behind.
Oh, what did that movie go up against directly? Like they released Pocahontas as like their big serious movie, and I think did it go up against like Aladdin?
No,
They're like, oh, well, no.
I don't think Disney would ever cannibalize their business like that.
So here's the upcoming live action Disney remakes in development. We've got Snow White, and these are all really tentative dates because of the writer's strike. Snow White scheduled to be releasing March 22nd, 2024. Lilo and Stitch, May 10th, 2024. I think that one might be a direct to Disney Plus.
They're doing a live action remake of Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah.
What the
that was
fuck?
big press a while ago.
Yeah,
There was a
that doesn't surprise me at all.
There was a good meme going around Twitter about like a mock-up of like what a live action Stitch would look like, and it looked horrible. And people were joking that this was like the next one. It's a funny haha joke. Now get ready for some ones that'll send you. Mufasa, The Lion King, releasing July 2024. I think that's a prequel to Lion King.
I would assume so.
Moana in development.
Oh shit, I did hear about that. That's so soon.
That is really soon. When you compare it to this one, The Hunchback of Notre Dame in development.
That's from the 90s.
The Aristocats in development because the Lady and the Tramp went over so well. Let's make it just cats.
I think that one was coming out. I think that has a release date. Aristocats does.
It just says in development where I'm pulling my info from, but
it might just be an older article. But yeah, that's a lot of them. Yeah, I'm interested to.
Yeah,
a Disney Hercules live action remake.
They're gonna get The Rock.
That's gonna be weird because he was already in a Hercules. Like,
that's right. You're gonna get him back.
Just do a sillier take on the character. Has The Rock worked with Disney? Well, yeah, he did Jungle Cruise. I was about to say, has he worked with Disney since like The Tooth Fairy? But then he did a movie with them like last fucking year.
The Rock did the live action Moana announcement, so he's working with them on Moana.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt that he will be involved in that. Yeah. All right, well, Mermaid...
that's the only role that would contain his ego is you get to play literal Hercules again. Anyways,
$224 million worldwide for The Little Mermaid, and more importantly, a place in our spotlight. No one seems to know how well this movie is being reviewed because every site is claiming they're being review bombed, and I'm sure there's some of that happening, because of the decisions made with casting in this movie. And
probably not as much as they're reporting.
Yeah, and I've read like reviews from newspapers, from self-professed Disney nuts who said they didn't like it. And I've read some reviews in IMDb user review section that said they did like it. Reviews such as this one from MHVP. Is 10 out of 10, or their 10 out of 10 for Little Mermaid. Better than expected. May 25th, 2023. Was so lucky to have actually seen it 2 days before it comes out via an AMC Theaters early access screening in 3D. The main reason to see this, the main reason to see it is Halle Bailey and her amazing performance as Ariel. She nailed all aspects of the role required. Same because Melissa McCarthy was also right pick for Ursula. Alan Menken did it once again with the iconic score and specifically little new touches to the story to expand on Ariel and Eric's relationship earns an extra point, making us really be, quote, a part of their worlds, end quote. The visuals look better when seen in 3D, and it looks so much more technicolorful, in quotes, than the trailer.
Oh, Lord.
Definitely go and see it. And don't listen to the review bombers. The madness needs to stop, and I mean it. Go in with an open mind. 119 out of 644 found that helpful. I fucking, oh my God. I only read the first half of this review before I pulled it. Technicolorful is now going in my official lexicon.
That one's going in the box.
Yeah, so I heard about a story about this when it did release. I think Philip DeFranco covered it about how it was getting review bombed, and I was trying to find the chart, and I did find it. So it's got 10,000 10-star reviews, 24,000 1-star reviews, and in between they bounce between 1 to 4,000 of each review. So yeah, they weighted it to a certain extent, and has an unusual activity banner.
Yeah.
Detected unusual voting activity on this title to preserve reliability of our rating system, and an alternate weighting calculation has been applied. So they haven't removed them; they just weighted it.
They're just calculating it differently.
So here's the thing about this that always makes me laugh, right? Is when these movies come out and the audience score, the user score is bad, and they're like, "Oh, it's being review bombed. It's being review bombed," but the critic score for the movie is also bad. It's like, I don't know, guys. Can you accept the possibility that maybe someone made a bad fucking movie? Happens all the damn time.
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying that this isn't a case of review bombing.
I'm sure there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. It's probably very easy to find review bombing, especially with bots, because if they're all coming in at the same time, yeah, okay, something's a little fishy.
But at the same time, astroturfing's a thing. Studios hire people or now use ChatGPT to write a bunch of positive reviews for their movie and inflate the score that way. So,
one of which I believe Kurt has caught.
I have one that I suspect is AI.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, I am no doubt sure of that. I guess the question is, what's worse? Paying a human to do it, or you worked on it and you want to go give it just a glaring review to boost the numbers, even if you don't think it's that score, or creating a bot or doing something, pressing a number to automatically procedurally generate, especially with AI, you can come up with full reviews of 1 stars in order to tank the score.
Well, they do that with the 10 stars.
The war against the singularity will be fought on the Rotten Tomatoes reviews.
It will.
Yeah,
this is where we're starting.
It's crazy, but let's hear one of those review bombed reviews.
Yes, let's see one of the quote unquote review bombed reviews. So we're gonna go with this one. Has a lot of people found this helpful, so let's find this one. A lot of people looked at this, thought it was worth clicking, saying helpful. 1 out of 10. Open mind and fresh eyes are not enough. I know it is a different genre and not to be compared to the original, but even watching with expectations of a fresh take on the story wasn't enough to keep me interested. They tried to make something new, but it wasn't too much like a sloppy cookie cutter that that it just didn't work. I won't be buying this one. Wait until it's on Disney Plus. Not worth the cost of the theater experience. I'm trying not to give spoilers, but the songs didn't work. The director clearly didn't know what they were doing either this one. They were doing either this one. I felt like it was all over the place. Melissa did a great job as Ursula, but the rest of the casting could have been better. 348 out of 433 found that helpful.
Wow.
Why?
And
Why
that's
do
a
people find these
pretty
'cause that was
reasonable like take.
I know.
Like there was
It wasn't-
no there was
That
no
was a very
hate.
nice one because I'm about to give a 6 out of 10, which tears this movie like in another asshole.
That was maybe the gentlest 1 out of 10 you've ever read on the show.
I know. But so many people were like, "Yes, this."
I agree.
Oh, there were more. Oh, there were ones. Fuck.
Of course, there's always more, Jake.
There's 73 reviews. I can go through with the 1 out of 10.
And they're gonna get more and more unhinged as you go down. I saw that the top rated review, the most helpful rated review, was a 6 out of 10. So I said, "Fuck it, we'll take it." From Tom Talks Films, 6 out of 10 in all caps, but I'm not going to speak in all caps because my larynx might fly out of my mouth. Why Disney? Do you keep making live action remakes? By Tom Talks Films. Here we go. You'd think a company like Disney, with the amount of money and resources that they have to draw upon, would be able to develop some original ideas, but nope. Here's another live action remake. The biggest issue straight out of the gate is that much like pretty much all these live action remakes, is that it didn't need to be made. If I want to watch any of the films that have been remade, then 9 times out of 10, I'm going to watch the original animation. They're just classics with heart that can't be recreated in live action. This man doesn't know what a hyphen is. That being said, this film exists, and I have Limitless, so I may as well watch it. Another big issue I had with this film is the pacing. It's a 2 hours, 15 minutes kids film. And with the attention span that kids have today, even if it was well paced, kids would be bored by the end. This film, to me, felt like it had a lot of filler, particularly once, spoiler, Ariel gets her legs in the second act, and none of it was that interesting. For me, the film didn't add anything that would have made the animation better if it had been in there. That being said, this film isn't a total loss. Halle Bailey, not Halle Berry, cat emoji, is great as Ariel. When she hits the high note in Part of Your World, I couldn't help but be amazed. In fact, that song was probably the standout scene of the film for me. It was brilliantly recreated. Bailey is also forced to convey the emotion of her character for a large part of this film just with her eyes, and she does a great job of it. I also felt Melissa McCarthy was great as Ursula, although I felt her character was underused in what was ultimately an anticlimactic final act. I do want to give a special mention to Javier Bardem, as he gives probably the flattest performance of his career as King Triton. I genuinely got the impression from his performance that he didn't really want to be in this film, and to be honest, I can't blame him, as much like his performance in the film, the film feels largely flat for the most part. 217 out of 330 found that helpful.
That's pretty reasonable take here. All right, so Lisa Ford EA has a 9 out of 10 review for The Little Mermaid that I believe was written by an AI. There are some weird capitalization things that make me think that perhaps not. But I'll let you decide. Absolutely brilliant. Definitely in my top 5 best Disney remakes of all time. How many are you excluding by taking a top
What
five?
doesn't make that list?
The Little Mermaid is a 2023 fantasy musical and stars Halle Bailey, John Howard, Howard King, Javier Bardem, Melissa McCarthy, Jacob Tremblay, David Diggs, Aquafina, and Jessica Alexander. Directed by Rob Marshall, Into the Woods, along with music by Alan Menken and Lin-Manuel Miranda. This remake of the 1989 classic tells the tale of Ariel Bailey, a stubborn young mermaid who dreams of growing up to the surface. Her overprotective father, King Triton Bardem, forbids her to leave, but she won't hear of it. Things take a turn when she saves a handsome prince from a storm named Eric King, who wants more in life as he dreams of adventure. So Ariel decides to make a bargain with her cunning aunt Ursula McCarthy to become human for 3 days and track down the man that she saved and may even love? ? Will Ariel succeed, or will her aunt do something terrible to ruin Ariel's chances of winning the heart of the prince? Overall, I absolutely love this film. The cast was fantastic, especially Halle Bailey. Boy, can she sing. The one that surprised me was Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. She really knocked it out of the park. The CGI, for the most part, is decent, along with new songs, except Scuttlebutt. I wasn't a fan, sorry. The chemistry between John Howard King and Halle Bailey was cute, parenthetical, and yes, I shed a few tears near the end. Couldn't help it. ? Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Bot revealed.
If we take a step back here, the sentence without the parenthetical, which you should be able to read a sentence without the parenthetical, reads as such: the chemistry between John Howard King and Halle Bailey was cute? ?
Cute.
Was it? I'm not sure.
Oh.
If you love the 1989 version, then you'll like it. As for casting of Halle Bailey, since she's black, I honestly thought she made for the role with her siren-like singing voice and her likable personality. Thumbs up. 53 out of 258.
He kind of stumbled on the finish line there.
Yeah. I don't know. Was that AI? You decide.
Turing test, but for reals.
So I have it narrowed down to a few. I might just do an honorable mention to one because I'm looking at one that has 1,200 votes total. Another one has 1,100 votes. But the title, at least I want to read. This one only has 29. Still the same chauvinistic story, harmful to our young. That's what I was looking for.
Wow, that's not the take I was expecting.
They had, for example, they could have gotten rid of at least question the part where the prince has to kiss the girl in under 3 days. The shotgun weddings, yeah, okay.
What?
I'm sorry.
You know what?
So their complaint with the Little Mermaid was that Ariel was not empowered enough.
Actually, I did hear they changed the lyrics to the Shalala Kiss the Girl song. The original one was like basically saying like don't ask her, don't wait for like her to like say anything, just like go and do it, like spur of the moment, like just take the kiss. And they changed it subtly to all you have to do is ask, basically, like you want to kiss her, maybe she wants you to, like just ask her to kiss first, and they just added that line in there. I'm sure there was like 10 people who got pissed off and tweeted at it.
Yeah, but the character who has to leave her own society, and rebels against the world in which she grew up in to find love. No, not empowered enough.
No.
She's not talking for a couple scenes.
Yeah, she gave up her voice, and like other girls have to give up their voice if they want something really bad, and then they also have to just pine over a man as well. That's
y'all know in
the
original fairy tale that she gets rejected and then dies at the end.
You know what? Maybe they should have gone with this, but instead there were two. Oh, by the way, both the ones with like the most reviews or most like votes had was talking about their daughter bored to tears and falling asleep. So I'm gonna go with the one that's longer.
Okay.
1 out of 10 from Phantasmada. My daughter was bored to tears. I took my 7-year-old to see this last night, and she was fine for the first half hour or so, and then she became really bored with it. After about an hour and 20 minutes, she was asking if she could leave and do something else. That's not a good sign when even young girls don't like this film. From my own personal point of view, the film is way too long for kids. The songs are borderline horrific. Seriously, whoever thought putting a rap song in a film like The Little Mermaid was a good idea needs to be sectioned.
Oh, is that
Talk
like
about
Aquafina's new song or whatever?
talk about butchering a classic film score. It might be. I'm not
I
sure
got no clue what the
they
songs
added
are in this
into it.
movie.
The special effects. All I can say is, how was a film with a budget like this big, been made to look so poor? Some of the underwater scenes look like something from a PlayStation 2 cutscene. They are awful. The animal characters in this, Scuttle, Sebastian, and Flounder, are dreadful. They look freaky, not cartoonish or charming, not even realistic, just weird and odd. And they really take you out of the film, whenever they're on screen. The performances are fine. No one in this is terrible, but the script and songs they're working with are so subpar that anyone would struggle with it. I remember even as a young boy watching the original Little Mermaid and being absolutely mesmerized by it, whereas this one is dull, boring, and lifeless, and not just my own daughter, but other people's kids in the cinema were fidgeting, squirming, and complaining at around 90 minutes to make of this. It's far too long to keep most kids entertained, and it's not pretty or charming enough to hold their attention for any length of time. Save your money and take your kids to a theme park or an activity center. They'll have a much better time. 868 out of 1,119 from this film.
That's a good
Jesus.
moral. It's a good moral. Wait, how many people reviewed this?
800
Uh,
1,000 over.
yeah, this was over 1,100. The other one had 918 out of 1,232 found it helpful. And it
Oh
was
my
still
Lord.
2 hours and 15 minutes of boredom. My daughter fell asleep halfway through.
I do appreciate the moral of the story at the end there. It's like, just take your kid to do something instead of
Yeah.
sitting them in a movie to watch something for 2.5 hours.
Interact with
I
your kid.
appreciate
Be a parent.
Side note: so there are 2 songs plus a what I'll call a day one DLC song. It's going to be released on the special edition.
Awesome.
So Prince Eric gets a song, "Wild Uncharted Waters." It's like a '90s power ballad. The character Scuttlebutt, which is played by Aquafina, gets the song "The Scuttlebutt," which I guess is the rap song, the Lin-Manuel Miranda rap song.
That
And then
everyone
King
seems
Triton
to
gets
hate.
Impossible Child. And that was cut from the theatrical edition, but it would be out on the special edition on the Blu-ray. So that's the DLC song. All right, finally, there's a significant lack of unhinged reviews in here. They're all like full sentences and shit. So I gotta throw in this one. It's not completely off the wall, but it's beautiful. It's in its own way. It's the attack of the commas. So I'm gonna be reading this in my best attempt at a Christopher Walken / Guido voice. We'll see what happens. From Don Murray, 29. The Little Mermaid, 5 out of 10. Cash grab. We know why they did it. Get money off us. But why do this? It's not good, not even average. Dumbo, which was 2019, is better than this. The cast is good. They do look nice. Javier Bardem is King Triton. He is good, and they can sing, mostly. The costumes in Italy look wonderful, but the dialogue does not work sometimes. The songs feel really weird too. Underwater scenes, they fall flat. Only 3 work, as the visual effects is a mess. 70% of the time is bad, very bad. The creatures, they try to make them have the fun of the cartoon, but they look and move freakish. And the singing number with Sebastian, Davy Diggs, and Scuttle, Aquafina, is a horror. Not worth the trip. Sorry. 3 out of 5. There's also, Kurt, for your edification, this also commits a parentheses crime because Aquafina comes the parenthetical Aquafina comes in between two commas.
Oh no. Which is it, a parenthetical or a positive?
Choose one. But of course, he's addicted to commas. This Don Murray. Mr. Don Murray.
Mr. Don Murray, yeah?
That is the spotlight.
Well, folks, there you have it. It seems like between what we've covered there and what more professional critics have said, doesn't seem like it's a great movie.
Not too fantastic.
Kind of a soulless remake, which is what we all expected it to be.
Yep.
So,
but it is on top.
By the time you've seen it, they've already got your money.
They got your money, baby. Fast X is in a distant second with $28.5 million, bringing its total worldwide gross to $524 million. Jesus fucking Christ. Just don't stop making money. Hot on its heels in third is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, $26.8 million, bringing its total worldwide to $750 million, making it far and away the most successful Marvel movie of the year. The Super Mario Brothers movie holds on to fourth with $8.2 million, bringing its total worldwide to $1.285 billion. Will it hit 1.3? Possibly.
No, it's not. Definitely not gonna. It's gonna flame out.
Huge disappointment. The Machine, starring Mark Hamill, for some reason.
Yup.
Somehow we got him in there. Made 5.
So, side note about.
Okay, go ahead.
Interjection here. There's 5 new movies out this week, and I think I said last week, I feel like there's nothing coming out for Memorial Day weekend, and that's because all the movies that were coming out were like stuff that didn't like pop up on my radar as stuff I'd want to watch.
Well, also, 4 of the 5 movies released in less than 2,500 theaters.
I see.
So
they were there so they could.
The Machine only released
Memorial
in
Day weekend.
2,400 theaters, made $5.8 million, almost 5.9. Total worldwide gross, counting in the $77,000 it's made internationally, is $7 million. So, I mean, how much could that movie have possibly cost to make? I'm sure it'll be profitable.
I mean, it got Mark Hamill. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Burt played himself.
It's weird. It's weird though. Like, Mark Hamill's done so little other than Star Wars as like live action.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I think I heard somewhere that like they asked Burt's father who like his dream pick would be to play him, and he said Mark Hamill.
Well, that's nice.
I don't think Burt Kreischer's dad looks anything like Mark Hamill.
No, probably not. But maybe Mark Hamill looks like how he thinks he looks. About My Father opened in 6th and 2464 theaters. $5.39 million for Lionsgate there. Kandahar opened in 7th with $2.8 million and just over 2,100 theaters. Opening in 8th with $1.765 million. You Hurt My Feelings from A24 with 912 theaters carrying that movie. That is about a novelist's long-standing marriage is suddenly upended when she overhears. Oh, it's the one with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and.
Yep.
I forget the
Whomstever.
Husband. Yeah. He gave a bad review to her latest book, and now the foundation of her marriage is shooketh.
Crumbling.
In 9th, Evil Dead Rise in its 6th week, bringing in $1.3 million. That's made a tidy $144.8 million worldwide. Very profitable, I would assume, there for Warner Brothers. And rounding out the top 10, we have Book Club, the next chapter in its 3rd week, bringing $1.17 million in 1,300 theaters. That movie's made $25 million. How is that possible? We'll give
It's the reason it was a sequel.
Another sequel I want to give a quick shout out to. Down in 15th, we have The Wrath of Becky.
Yep.
Opening to a I guess fairly strong 168,000 for a 274 theater engagement. Interesting to see how wide a release this gets.
Who knows? They're plotting their own path right now.
Yeah, the theatrical release sequel of a Redbox movie.
Original. Yeah.
Yeah. You got me.
Show me what you can do.
Alrighty.
All right.
So that's going to be a wrap on that. Let's talk quickly some gaming news before we get into what we all came here to do. Well, you start off this week, Peter.
Yeah. I got a quick headline. Well, I got a couple. And you tell me which one you want to talk about.
Okay.
Yuji Naka gets his prison sentence for insider trading, or KOTOR 2 DLC abandoned on Switch.
Oh, what's the KOTOR 2 DLC all about?
What?
Yeah, sure. KOTOR 2 on Switch. I guess they were trying to adapt the restoration DLC for it.
Oh, they were going to sell you the free restored content mod?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Aspir. So last night, telling Switch owners of the game that the update to add support for a series of fan-made mods, to fix certain bugs and round out characters, etc., had been canceled. It's basically the unofficial final cut of the RPG, and Switch players will now essentially miss out on it, despite the fact that it was previously marketed alongside the port's 2022 release.
Yeah, Keith's been playing KOTOR 2 on the Switch, and I keep telling him, well, that's too bad. You're going to miss like 80. You're only getting like 85% of the game.
Well, there you go. So here's the tweet. They got the tweet right here. We'd like to thank the community. It's a classic dev apology tweet. Thank the community for their passion, etc. Today we are announcing the restored content DLC for KOTOR 2 will not be moving forward. We'd like to thank everyone by providing a complimentary video game key to players that purchased the DLC, or no, just purchased KOTOR 2. You may pick a replacement key from the following list. Star Wars KOTOR 2 on Steam, KOTOR 1 on Switch, Force Unleashed on Switch, Republic Commando on Switch, Episode 1 Racer on Switch, Jedi Knight Academy on Switch, or Jedi 2 Outcast. Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast on Switch. So
Jedi Knight games are ready to go.
Yeah, you can get KOTOR 2 on Steam or any of the other Star Wars offerings on Switch.
If you are a Switch player affected by this, if you have any reasonably modern computer, like even if you have a laptop that's like less than like 14 years old, and even then probably still, get it on Steam. You'll be able to run it. I actually think the interface, once you get used to it, works better with a keyboard and mouse. Despite having played it on Xbox myself all this time, it's a fine time. And Peter has done his annual game, his weekly gaming news blip out of existence.
So I call me a shitty fan, but I love KOTOR 2. I played KOTOR 2 first. I know I probably shouldn't have, but this is what was brought into me when I played it on the Xbox. I did not know there was a restored content mod for this.
Yes, you did. Because when we did it on stream, we played it with the restored content mod.
Yeah, but I don't think I was.
You were there.
There for a lot of it. I think I was there for like 1 or 2 episodes of it. And I think if you talked about a mod, I think I just like thought about it in passing.
Well,
So is this a good amount of content that it brings
Yes.
back?
It brings back a fair amount of content. Unfortunately, so it doesn't bring back the droid planet. There's a
Okay.
separate mod that does that. I will say the droid planet is not nearly as finished as a lot of the other stuff that gets put back. But it puts back in a lot of dialogue. It puts back an entire ending area, the HK-50 factory, which you don't get to, which never gets paid off. And it always bugged me, the Xbox version, that there is this, because it's on Telos and the underground base. There's this door that you can't open, and like I played the whole game a bunch of times on Xbox, and I was like, what is behind this fucking door? It turns out it's the HK-50 thing, which never gets resolved in the market cut of the game. It kind of hurts the pacing of the ending sequence a little bit, IMO, but it is something cool to experience once, and I don't play without the restored content mod. It also fixes a bunch of bugs and glitches, some of them helpful, like patches out the Super Saber exploit and the false level up glitch, so you can't do fun things like make Mandalore Jedi Guardian.
Drat.
But I mean, I'm sure there's other mods that let you do that, so that's the great thing about modding. Is you're really only limited to your imagination.
I might have to take a look at this.
And it's so
give it
easy.
Another playthrough.
It's on Steam Workshop. You just click to add it to your game. It installs all the files for you. Couldn't be easier.
Right. It's a pretty well developed mod, I would say.
Yeah, it's been around forever. And when they released it on Steam, I was really happy to see the Workshop integration make it super easy to install. It was never hard to install, but it was a pain in the ass to update. And now it's a lot easier to do that because Steam manages it for you.
Yeah. I know when I was traveling a lot, I would play the first one on my Surface tablet. It ran all right. Ran pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like most phones can play the original coder.
I know.
It's pretty easy. I bought Knights of the Old Republic for the Switch when I was flying to Greece because I wanted to have something to do on the flight. And I got pretty deep into it, but I never finished it.
That's a good way to pass time.
Never finished it. And I wish it played better. I haven't tried it on the Steam Deck, to be honest, but I wish they would, Aspire would like update it in the same way that they did for Coder 2 and add in controller support and modern resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will pay a quick thing to just talk about the Uchinaka. He got arrested on 2 counts of insider trading. So both of them, he bought up shares before the release of. He would buy up shares in a mobile game company before they released a big game, which pretty classic insider trading. Much like Al Capone, they got him for the financial crimes to avoid because they couldn't get him on the real crimes, which was Bella and Wonderworld.
I was about to say,
he's
where
going
are
to
you
get 2
going
years
with
in prison
this?
and like $1 million+ in fines.
Well, the Japanese legal system actually punishes people for insider trading. That's admirable.
I know, amazing. All right, Huge. Can't wait for your next game.
All right. Well, I got a report here. Oh, do you want to go?
Oh, you can go if you got it.
So I got a report here about Redfall, and kind of the troubled development that it wove. Bloomberg has put out a report here about Redfall. The gist of it is that they knew it was bad, and most of the people at Arcane Austin weren't super excited about working on a multiplayer FPS. And a lot of the people that worked on Prey quit during Redfall's development, and the ones that stuck around hoped that Microsoft would cancel it after acquiring ZeniMax. Microsoft did no such thing, and it released, as you know, to very, very poor results, to the point where Phil Spencer acknowledged that the game sucks, which kind of makes you wonder why they didn't cancel it. Like,
can't do that.
It couldn't have made enough money to justify the reputation hit that everyone involved took with its release.
It's all automated now. They can't stop it once it starts.
So, Bloomberg's investigation states that Redfall's development was afflicted by chronic understaffing. Arcane Austin's team of fewer than 100 people simply wasn't large enough for the job of creating a marquee multiplayer-focused shooter. A problem that wasn't helped when dispirited veteran devs began an exodus from the project as it limped along. Around 70% of the team members who had worked on Arcane's excellent Prey had departed the studio by the time Redfall was ready for store shelves, and the company struggled to replace their expertise. A brief moment of hope was delivered in the form of Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax in September 2020, though probably not in the way studio bosses would have preferred. Sources told Bloomberg that once Arcane Austin staff learned they'd been picked up as part of Microsoft's acquisition, they hoped the new boss would force a reboot of the project as a classic Arcane-style single-player project. Failing that, they just hoped the corporation would cancel development altogether, freeing them from a task the staff were neither confident nor enthusiastic about. However, no such mandate came. Instead, Microsoft allowed ZeniMax to go on much as it had before, enduring a great deal of autonomy and ensuring that plans for Redfall remained much as they were from the start. A multiplayer FPS with barely any of the qualities of emergent gameplay, tight level design that Arcane was known for. Small wonder then that it eventually released in the state it did. So, I mean, we all suspected something that must have been going down with Redfall, and now the first stones have been cast. I'd say give it another couple months, and then Matt McMuscles will be on the scene with his what happened, and we'll have the full story.
The content creators will be all over it.
Yeah. I don't hold any grudges against that. I want to make it clear that I like Matt McMuscles and I like what happened. It's a good series. Check it out. Hardly needs a shout out from us, but
we'll do it. We'll do it all the same.
So there was quite a big story, and I was thinking to myself when we got into the segment, I'm like, well, there's not really too many gaming news, but I forgot to bring up the probably one of the biggest gaming newses of I don't know, last couple months, it seems like, other than like game fails and maybe the Overwatch 2 announcement. So in this labor kind of struggle that we've been seeing in the US, it has creeped into a area of labor that I did not expect it ever to leak into, and that is esports and into the world of League of Legends, which I am closely familiar with. And I was like, oh, what's this about? So I've been just quickly reading up because I knew like the bare surface level of it, but not the specifics. So a week ago or something like that, it was announced that Riot, the developers for League of Legends and also the developers for a lot of other games, including the very popular Valorant, big company. They're owned by Tencent, I believe, and they're like Chinese based. So it's a very big company with a lot of different revenue sources, and they kind of came down like a ton of bricks on the North American Championship Series by eliminating a mandate, which I don't know the ins and outs of it, but the resulting mandate, the rule change, would essentially eliminate like over 70 jobs from coaches, players, and managers overnight without any sort of like heads up, planning, nothing for that. I don't know why they ended up doing it this way, what the reasoning was into it without getting into the weeds and really diving into this. But there is like an unofficial union, sort of. It's a LCS Players Association that is backing up the players, and they've kind of been making all the announcements of what's happening and kind of giving their responses to this whole situation. So that happened, and I guess it was voted on unanimously by all the players in the NACL. And to give you some background, North America is not really good at League. Like, we've never won Worlds. We go to like the Worlds tournaments, but we are usually the bottom of the tier, except for maybe like one team gets into like, I don't know, before quarterfinals. It's usually all Korean, Chinese, Taiwanese teams. So
Right.
those are the heavy hitters. They're just fucking different. Like it is kind of wild. So this kind of culminated into a player strike, and the just before LCS, the league championship series, which is this big North American championship series between all the NA teams that you can eventually win a slot to go to Worlds in the next coming months. Everything is very scheduled. They have like arenas rented out to play these. It's
Mhm.
broadcasted on Twitch and everything. So it's a big thing. It's very, very
Right.
popular
A
amongst
lot
the
of
community.
infrastructure around it.
A lot of planning, and they just quit. Or not quit, but they striked. So all the players are on strike, and they are delaying this the series. And Riot has responded by threatening to cancel the entire League of Legends summer season in North America if a deal with the players isn't made. You know, this is kind of a weird thing where you can't just go out and play this anywhere. Like you can go out and play football anywhere, go to a different league, hop around. But like Riot owns a game, so they can't really go play League somewhere else, unless they, I guess,
Mhm.
change citizenship and get on a team overseas. But like that's a huge life change.
Yep.
Oh, I also remember the other thing. A lot of the players and managers and coaches that would have been losing their jobs. A lot of them were over here on a work visa. So not
Yeah.
only did they lose their job, they lost their home,
It could be deported.
and they
Yeah.
haven't been to their home country in like years. And they don't even have residency over there because they gave it up. They were living in the US. So not only does this fuck over their like business over here, it fucks over people's lives like really bad. So this is like not something they're taking lying down, and they're rising up and trying to hurt Riot. Riot has responded with a series of kind of rule changes, allowing for, so in League there's tiers on how good you are. The top tier being the challenger tier, and the below it is diamond. They have made a rule change to allow for diamond tier, any tier actually, any rank you are, you can come up and play in the LCS if they
Oh
reach out to
boy.
you.
So
So
they're literally allowing like league scabs to come in.
League scabs, exactly. So they are saying if you know how to click a button and play League, you can come and scab for a team and play in the LCS. And the Players Association basically came out and said, "Hey, if you do this, just know you're a scab, and this is career suicide for you. No team will ever work with you again in North America if you go and scab for Riot."
They gotta be like the Eagles and get the fucking picket line out front of the stadium and just
Yeah.
physically block people from coming in.
So yeah, there was a list of demands that came out. I just had it up here. That they want to get our ass of Riot. So they want to institute a Valorant style promotion and regulation between the LCS and NACL. Riot, which I gotta say, the irony behind the North American Championship League being called NACL Salt, and they're basically the saltiest players around. This is great. Riot commit to a revenue pool for the players' salaries of $300,000 per NACL team per year. Allow the LCS orgs to partner with their affiliates for cost sharing. Riot guarantees LCS minimum contract for the following year for the 5 players who win the LCS summer finals each year, and institute a 3-5 roster continuity rule to provide players on released NACL rosters first priority in maintaining their slots in the upcoming season. So, I don't know how big of a hit a lot of this is. It seems like the flat money dishing out to some of the teams might not be that big of an issue, but when it comes to like revenue split and different contract negotiations, it seems like it's a big ask for Riot to introduce this. Who knows? I mean, this is their first asks. I don't even know if Riot's coming to the negotiation table because they're playing, hardball.
Right.
Because I don't know how much they lose
Yeah,
out of this.
I don't feel that the players really have a lot of leverage in this situation.
And it's tough because they don't really. This isn't like it's not like a work stoppage at like a manufacturing plant where if you leave work, the company isn't producing anything and they're losing money every single day that you're on strike. This isn't happening at all. So their leverage over Riot is kind of nil. I mean, it's just a championship league. I mean, in North America. So the only way I could see them
like
possibly
if
getting
the
anywhere
Korean
is they'd have to
players
get
striked or something
like
that. Maybe
they would have to get all the teams to strike along with them.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they're doing
and like I know League is huge in South Korea.
Huge. It's a lifestyle.
So like any amount of money that they lose in the North American Championship Series, they're gonna make it like tenfold abroad. So unfortunately, the thing about striking is you actually have to have some leverage.
You have to have the collective to make the action.
Yeah.
And it's an uphill battle always.
All right. Well, let's move on to happier pastures and let's talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Which one?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Long time coming.
I've been waiting 5 years for this. COVID really kind of warps your sense of time. I was thinking about when the first one came out, and I was like, I think it was December of 2018, but that seems like so long ago. That can't be right, but it was right. It's been that long. But the reason it's been so long is because they were making both this movie and the next one at the same time, and as a consequence, we fortunately will only have to wait 10 months for the next installment of the movie.
It's going to be excellent. Although many people in the theater that we attended did not know that fact.
Both nights. I went to see it again yesterday. Equally surprised reaction when it ended. But like it didn't make a lot of sense to me because it felt like the movie was definitely like
the last
winding
10 minutes
down.
Was a ramp up to the end.
Like it really felt like, okay, so this is how this is going to end right now. We're not going to get resolution, but I think it speaks volumes to the quality of the movie that everyone in the theater both nights was fucking ready for another 2.5 hour movie right after it. It's like, come on, keep it coming. Let's go.
I was like, I think 5 minutes before it ended, I looked at my watch and I was like, oh my God, this is like, do we have a third act yet still? Like, are we in the third act? Is it because I'm waiting for like a big climactic end action sequence, and we got a little bit of it, but I was like, is there another bit left? And it just ended, and I was like,
your climax was the chase.
Sneaky.
Hit you with the to be continued. So, and that's not even spoilers. That's like anti-spoilers. This is so that you don't get surprised.
Like, you know what was really funny to me is because I had mentioned that like this movie originally was titled Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. They changed the name of the sequel to be Beyond Spider-Verse, which is why they dropped the Part 1 for this. But like even at the concession stand, like some of the like promotional material for like Spider-Verse themed whatever had Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 on it still. So like everyone should have known.
Yeah.
But I guess it's people don't watch trailers, I guess, because fucking I remember when No Way Home came out and the fucking Doc Ock showed up or the Green Goblin pumpkin bomb landed on the bridge, people were freaking out. It's like, this was in the fucking trailer.
This is what surprised. Ideally would have enticed you to go see the film.
You knew this 6 months ago.
I gotta say one thing. I am always surprised whenever I like meet somebody and I'm like, have you seen the new trailer? And they're like, no, I didn't even know that was coming out. And I'm like, are you not like online as I am? Like, what the fuck? And some people just don't like to look at trailers.
Yeah, like, and I mean, to be honest, I was one of those people mostly before we started this show. Like I never like went out of my way to seek out a trailer. I would like if they were on television, which the television I watched at that point mostly would have been sports. So if they advertised during like the Yankees or Jets games, I would see it. But other than that, I would just hear that the movie was coming out or see a poster for it.
Yeah.
But let's talk briefly spoiler-free stuff. Um I loved it. I'll get that out of the way. I thought it was amazing. It was incredible. It's every bit as good as the first one. IMDb says it's better. It's got a 9.1 out of 10 on IMDb right now. The original had an 8.4. I don't know that if I would say it's better. It's different. It's hard to really. They tell their story so differently, and this is really only half of the story. So it's hard for me to really fairly compare them. I feel like when all's said and done, and we fast forward to, that last show of March or first show of April next year, and we're talking about the three of them, I think that this is going to be the one I say is the weakest of the three, but it's still fucking incredible. Like,
But it's like saying like this chocolate chip cookie wasn't as good as the others. They're all great to eat.
yeah, like there are no wrong choices here. There are no bad movies. Like it's just
But the first one and the third one, I think, had just like a couple more bits of chocolate, and they were just more
Just by the
perfectly-
nature of this being the middle segment.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like and
it's like the first pancake.
they did
the rest of them are going to be good.
yeah, and they did
but
an
the first
incredible
one-
job with like the kind of story they had mapped out, making it engaging and exciting. Because when you boil it down here, there's a lot of like exposition and just like small talk in this movie, but it's never boring. It's engaging the whole way, and it starts you off so strong with like emotional gut punches. You're like, oh god.
Right. This is the kind of story we're going to be telling, and this is who they do a very smart thing, which is because it ties into a bunch of things. Is that their first scene isn't with our main character Miles. The first scene is with Gwen.
I would argue the
And
first
it's-
scene is with our main character because I think Gwen's the main character of this movie.
I can see that.
Right. That's what that's how they kind of make this its own story, is because that's always the problem, is like you're gonna have the Hobbit Part 2 problem where it's like it doesn't resolve its own story and it's just sort of sitting in the middle and it's not a complete movie. But this is they get around that by making Gwen kind of the focus of this movie. And at least a deuteragonist, if not a protagonist. Yeah, so and it also, the thing for me, they crank up the art direction on this. As much as Spider-Verse 1 was already a visual feast, they're like, all right, people coming to this have at least an idea of what the whole the vibe of Spider-Verse 1 was. So they just took it to the next level where it almost feels like a 2-hour long music video. I don't know how long this movie was.
It was 2 hours 20 minutes, so almost 2.5 hours. It's the longest animated movie ever.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like it is jam packed front to tip to tail, front to back with visual excitement and rush
and like
push.
I really you can tell that Phil Lord and Chris Miller absolutely love Spider-Man and have consumed so much Spider-Man content either on their own or in preparation for these movies, because every Spider-Man in this movie is true to the art. If they appear in a comic, is true to the art style of that comic, and their dimensions are in that art style. Like Gwen's dimension, like every scene is drawn like it's from a Spider-Gwen comic book, and it's a very striking visual style, and their use of color to convey emotion in her dimension is
Oh
fucking
God,
incredible. Like,
it
this is
was.
art. This is high art. Like, people who think superhero movies can't be art, show them this and tell them to shut the fuck up.
This is This is the beauty of this movie. I think is the
Is the
I
beauty of it.
well, I think this is where I noticed the most of it. I mean, story, character development, like aside, the thing that stuck out the most and the thing that I'm remembering now more than anything is the art direction they went to. We got a little bit of that taste from Spider-Verse where Into the Spider-Verse, where you had the Detective Spider-Man have black
Spider-Man
and
Noir, yeah.
white, and Miles Morales universe had like the comic book
Mhm.
effect, the kind of like the 3D effect, and you see, okay, I see that there's different styles, but here they really press on it, and each person has their individualistic identity connected to their universe, and our first taste of that and how they can utilize that with Spider-Gwen, fantastic with the emotion as the emotions change. If it's raining outside, the watercolor was dripping down. The change in tone over when the emotion
Mhm.
changes from like her whole room is tonally blue when she's like coming back and depressed and sad, and then her dad comes there and wants a hug, and she embraces him, and it just brightens up that room and that moment, and it's like a you can just pause that right there, put it on a wall, and it's just beautiful.
Like,
Yeah.
I I hate to say this to every other studio who's working hard, but like, kiss your Oscar hopes goodbye for best animated movie. Like, it's not even gonna be a
Mhm.
competition. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to say.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I think the reason it's so much more noticeable here is they got to go to a lot of different dimensions and into the Spider Verse. It all
yes,
took place in Miles's dimension, um, save like flashbacks and whatnot. But
Right. But I think the real kicker on this movie, before we get into spoilers and just start talking about everything that's awesome in this shit, um, the real coup de grace on this, or piece de resistance, whatever French word you want to use for it, is the tightrope walk that they do. Because if you're hearing about this and you somehow haven't seen anything about this movie, you might think, "Oh, this is gonna make me vom. This is gonna be incredibly visually intense." And like, if you're a grandpa, maybe, but like, it's there's a lot going on, but it is all very well balanced.
yeah,
The emotional highs and lows. This is not a Taika Waititi swing fest. The highs and lows are measured out to scientific proportions
yeah.
to make sure
Honestly,
that you're not like so that you're not taken out of it at any point. That you're always with it you're in it and you're with it, and the effect is similar to like sitting down with a concept album, or like, you know, the old get your vinyl record out, put your headphones on, sit in a dark room for an hour and a half, listen to the whole fucking record, and you go through all the things, the highs and lows, and then you just kind of, it's almost trance like.
yeah. There's one particular moment that I think, and it was more obvious watching it the second time around, that the audience took to be humorous, but I think the correct emotional read was you were supposed to have like a sense of dread. And we'll get to that when we talk about spoilers, because it's heavy spoiler territory.
Yeah.
sure.
Um, but yeah, like, someone needs to sit Taika Waititi down in front of this movie and be like, "See, this is how you inject levity into a movie."
Yeah,
And I want to get spoilers here now because I want to address something that people might a take I have that people might call me out as being somewhat hypocritical on, and that's Spot, the main antagonist. I think of the next movie. I wouldn't call him the main
Well,
antagonist of
let's
this
just give
movie.
our takes, but before we get into spoilers, obviously, very quickly here, go see this. Go see this 5 times. If this ever shows up in 3D, go see it in 3D. Get the Blu-ray. Watch it at home. If you are a fan of animation, go watch this. If you're a fan of 3 hour Scorsese movies and just want to watch guys in a smoky room talking for 3 hours, maybe don't watch this. But that's the only demographic. Or if you're, I don't know. I was gonna be like, oh, if you're like a Christian mom who can't, if it doesn't have the word Jesus in the title, you can't watch. I guess don't go watch this. But like everyone else, yes,
Yeah,
will enjoy it.
when the first the high notes that come to my mind are eye candy and ear candy, and that's even before talking about the really witty, grounded writing and kind of s- simple plot for it being a multiverse movie. It's got everything you want and need out of a movie. It is enjoyable to watch. It is enjoyable to listen to. So if you are blind and deaf, don't go see this movie.
That's probably the only type of person that wouldn't enjoy this movie is someone who is
yeah.
blind and deaf.
Yeah. Because I imagine it wouldn't be great reading it.
Wouldn't be the
from
best
Braille.
experience.
Spider-Verse, the novelization.
Yeah.
We're going to take some talented writers to kind of paint the word picture of what these places look like.
Yeah.
And the acting, from Oscar Isaac, Jake Johnson, he wasn't in there too much. Miles Morales and Haley Steinfeld, great voice actors. Even the random people you throw in there. The Spider-Punk and Spider-Man India by Karan Soni and Daniel Kaluuya.
Cool. Yeah.
Great.
So
fantastic.
So is great. I loved him as Dopinder in Deadpool. I was really happy that he got work in another Marvel property.
Yeah.
He's what I think Kunjal Nanjiani is supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's Kumail Nanjiani before the buff up for Eternal.
Before he got super buff.
Just don't get buff, Karan. Don't do steroids. It's not worth it. You'll turn into an asshole.
You'll lose your funny.
You'll lose all your funny.
But yeah,
right.
every performance is a knockout here. All right, so let's talk spoilers officially, I guess. So getting back to my point with Spot, he's introduced. He's not. I wouldn't call him the main antagonist of this movie. He definitely will be the main antagonist of the next movie. But he comes in and there's a very humor-filled fight in the beginning between him and Miles. And he's kind of played up as a joke for the first half of the movie until he gets to the collider, and they do a really good thing where they flip a switch essentially, and they take him from being kind of goofy to being kind of scary, and they don't change his character too much, but all of the sudden, the way he's talking and the way they don't change the kind of things he says, but they present it in a different way, and it goes from being funny to being creepy hella quick, and they don't ever reverse course from it. The feeling when Spot's on screen after the collider is the feeling that I wanted to have when Ultron was on screen in Age of Ultron. I wanted to be uncomfortable whenever that character was on screen. I wanted to be fearful for the safety of the
right.
main characters, and they accomplished that great. And I'm really looking forward to see what they do with him in the next movie.
Yeah, because you really think that he's very goofy, lighthearted, and they say it right in it, and it's say what you will about the writing, but it's yeah, they did call him the villain of the week, so it kind of just puts that perspective in our mind. So we start thinking of him as villain of the week. He's not any real big threat, but he slowly kind of reveals the fact that he does have powers that could be pretty detrimental, and the fact that the Spider Squad, I forgot what the team name is, but the League of Spiders.
I don't know if they have a
Spider
team.
Society was what
Gwen
called them.
Yeah, the Spider Society was concerned with them after a little bit. Then you start to realize, oh, okay, he's not only is he just goofy, but he's also menacing. And all of that stuff he was saying before, he says the same stuff. Like, you took this from me, like I'm your nemesis, like I'm gonna take
Right.
everything from you. He says that the same stuff, but in, like you said, the tone changes and it's very menacing.
Yeah, a big part of that is definitely like the character design. Again, this is such a visual movie. Like, this, I mean, we go through the movie. He starts out very human, and at the end is very not human. Like when he starts out, he's wearing clothes. He's just walking around, talking with people. Um, he looks very.
Or he looks like he's
obviously
wearing
just,
clothes. He does make a point to say it's his skin.
well, no, he's wearing a jacket and a hat and
Oh, okay.
sunglasses.
Oh, right.
Right? Yeah. So even
Yeah.
um, that leaves immediately, but he still has like human form, and he still has to walk everywhere. And then he's appearing on the street in stores, and then later on you see him, but now he's like in a bombed out building. Like you see the record of him as he escapes into the area, and then slowly after he hits the collider, obviously, like you don't see him in a human context anymore. He's like floating in a void, and he's got like multiple limbs and heads, and he's like shifting and spreading, and he's not really a person. Like he still says these things, but now he's very much like a force of nature.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how in like two Spider-Man properties I absolutely love, the Spot becomes like the villain that incites like the climactic story arc. Because in the
Yeah.
1994 Spider-Man cartoon, the Spot showing up sets off the chain of events that leads to Mary Jane, getting lost in space.
In time, yeah.
And it's funny
Which,
that's here.
if you want to think about it, I feel like this almost you can connect that line all the way from that to this.
Oh, probably. Who knows? Maybe he shows up in that universe, and that's what that's all about.
If
I
fucking
didn't
actual
see it.
space-time faring Madam Web shows up
I
in Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that would be neat as fuck. I didn't.
They made
I
so
looked,
many connections.
They showed a lot of connections and a lot of cameos, but unfortunately, I did not see the 1994 Spider-Man in there. He might be in there, but he might have been hidden. I saw Spider-Man Unlimited, who was featured fairly prominently, which was a show that ran for one fucking season. So if he's in there, do my man Christopher Daniel Barnes justice and put him in the movie.
And I know they're gonna save Spider-Man for the second one, because we didn't see him in this one. And how are you not gonna have the giant leopardon show up during a fight sequence? I really hope Penny and her new mech get to fight Leopardon and have a giant fucking robot battle. That would be sick nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like where if I did see him. I know was Ben Reilly from this the Spider-Man animated series.
Ben Reilly was in the Proto Spider-Verse episode.
Okay.
So when they have the Spider-Man from different universes, yeah, this shit's been done before.
So I was gonna say, because they made so, like I said, they made so many I mean,
it was very clear that Phil Lord and Chris Miller did not like Ben Reilly very much as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of goofed on him a bit, making him.
They're not
Andy
wrong.
Just overly dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, Andy Samberg played him or voiced him.
So I was gonna look this up before the show, and I guess I'm looking up now because I don't know if anyone else is gonna know this. But the Spider-Man, who says you don't have anywhere to go before Miles jumps out the window, I think he may have been voiced by Thundercat, but I'm not entirely certain.
Oh, let's see that.
I don't know. It did seem like a very recognizable voice. I would have said Donald Glover, but he already has his own character in this.
Yeah, they paid off the fucking Donald Glover's character being named Aaron Davis in Homecoming, of him as the Prowler. It's fucking 6 years later in a completely different movie, separate from the MCU.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
also not so separate, because they do reference the MCU once.
Multiverse.
They reference Doctor Strange and that, and they show the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire stuff and archive footage. They have the
tree when Miguel is describing what the Spider-Verse is, that is the MCU depiction of what the multiverse is like, a fractal branching wispy tree.
Yeah.
Was it Metro Spider-Man?
I don't know what the character's name was.
I don't know what that fucking
It was never named. So
Yeah, no.
So
I'm looking at what the it could have been. I'm looking at the IMDb list. There's so many fucking people. Because there's so many one-liners from different Spider-Men.
Yeah.
There is a Leland Metro Boomin Wayne. That's Metro Spider-Man. Josh Keaton was Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes, I did notice that they very prominently featured that. No one in the theater either time appreciated the fact that was the Spectacular Spider-Man from that cartoon.
I think I had some people go, I didn't know that's what he was from.
Yeah, that's a very I never really watched. Yeah, it's more recent. It's quite beloved. I'm a big 1994 Spider-Man guy, so I never really went and watched a lot of it. I watched the first couple episodes, I think, and they were pretty good. I could see myself getting into it if I gave it more of a chance.
There's Yuri Lowenthal was an Insomniac Spider-Man. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's the video game one. Who's like other video game guy, and they even put the marker up that's
Insomniacs.
Yeah. Not like an insomniac that he doesn't fall asleep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So many fucking Spider-Men.
I have no.
I don't know
Google search didn't hit anything.
Yeah. Here, I'll start off with a question. I'll just throw a fucking question out there. Well, we should cut to that once we talk about the movie a little bit, because it's a little bit of theory crafting, which I feel would serve better once we've described what happens in the movie. Although, again, I don't need to describe what happens in the movie. Plot is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So Spot shows up. Miles is coming of age. He's 15. Right. He's hit his growth
spurt. He's going through the Spider-Man 2 problem of he's stretched too thin. He's trying to do too much.
Yeah, and he's running into that problem every Spider-Man runs into of trying to balance being Spider-Man and being whomever you are under the mask, and it's leading to friction between him and his parents. His dad's about to make captain. There's a lot going on in his world, but he misses the friends he made in the first movie quite a bit, and that's kind of compounding these problems. And then it cuts to where we left off we get to the point where we left off at the end of Spider-Verse. So the you want to get out of here thing kind of like gets rejiggered a slight bit because, the context of why he's in his room in that scene is not the same, but I'll forget that. It's not important.
Yeah.
Just like I'll forgive how they renamed him Jeff Morales, even though he's Jefferson Davis in the first movie. And that's his character's actual name, which led me to speculate maybe there's some other universe chicanery going on there. I feel like it would have been better had they not referred to him as Captain Morales in 16616 or 1610, whatever Miles' universe is. And that would have been the key that he was not in the right dimension at the end. But regardless, so Gwen shows back up. They reconnect, but she's there on business from the Spider Society, which get introduced during the first scene with Gwen's background, where she fights Leonardo da Vinci Vulture.
Leonardo da Vulture?
Leonardo da Vulture.
That's got to be the fan name.
It's our fan name now.
Here for that one-off character. Showed up for one fight scene.
So Miguel O'Hara shows up just as brooding as he is in the 2099 comics, just as humorless and brooding as he is in his canon appearances. And Jen, Spider-Woman, Jess Drew, who that's the one character in this movie that I feel like they didn't do a great job with. And it's nothing really against the character. It's two things. One, she doesn't really do a whole lot in the movie of consequence. Number two, her character's kind of inconsistent. Like she mentions when in her first appearance that she loves her husband and she has a child on the way. She's pregnant. Yet later in the film, and not much later, when Gwen's like, "You never got close to someone," and she's like, "No, I got over him." Like, bitch, you're carrying the child
Yeah.
of yours and your husband in you right now. What do you mean you're not close to anyone?
Well, I think what that was supposed to be was like the canon events that they're all supposed to overcome. One of them is probably heartache and heartbreak. And I think that's what she might be referring to. That's what I got was because they're talking about how also in every universe Gwen and Miles get together and it never ends well.
Well,
Or
Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy fall in love, and she gets killed by the. That's a classic Spider. Another great thing I like when they refer to canon events by the comic that it came out in, like ASM 90 is Amazing Spider-Man number 90, and that's when Captain Stacy gets crushed under the falling debris.
A lot of comic references because they even show the comics in there, which is like they kind of breaking the fourth wall, breaking.
Well, I feel like a lot of the people who read the comics have said that this movie is almost a critique of how the comics have been treating Spider-Man in recent years.
Yeah,
that they keep dragging him back to the same beats and
sure.
don't want to innovate on the character.
Well,
that's why they. I think that's why they.
The comics, so I can't.
That's comics in general recently.
Yeah, I mean they keep on like referencing. Oh, I'm this. I got bit by a spider and here, and they kind of show the different, the same events happening in the different universes, like we saw with like Spider-Man India.
And the last thing with Jess is that like very seldom, what she doesn't have a lot of screen time, and when she's on screen time, very seldom is she being shown in like a positive light, I guess.
Yeah, or being actively characterized. Like she's there to chide Gwen.
Yeah.
When we first meet her, it's interesting because she's like kind of a more motherly figure, kind of nice. She's trying to talk Miguel into letting her join, which seems like from a lot of the other Spider-Men, it seems like they'll accept anybody into the universe.
Well, they were hesitant because of her connection to Miles.
Oh, I mean that might be.
They didn't want her to like do what she did essentially and go see him and like get in his head about.
But and then the next time we hear from Spider-Woman, it's like boom, like I am taking a snarky tone with you,
I'm
like
stern,
just go do your job.
Yeah, she's like a completely different character.
Yeah,
from her intro scene to the rest of the movie.
So I'm wondering if there was like a deleted scene where they showed more of their interactions, like in the Spider Society.
So here's my theory. When I watched it the second time, I you're not so caught up in all the stuff being thrown at you, and you can kind of like hone in on some details. And there are a lot of subtle facial cues when Miguel was saying like stop them, and when Gwen was talking to her, where she's kind of hesitant to disagree with Gwen, and especially at the end when she's watching the conversation that Gwen's having with Miles's parents. I'm pretty sure they're setting her up to like side with the other Spider-Men in like the climax or the secondary climax. However they resolve, because the next one's going to be there's the fight between Miguel's crew and Miles and Gwen's crew, and they have to resolve that, and then they're gonna have the bigger they're gonna all team up to stop Spot. So like in that climax, I think Jess siding with either turning on Miguel or being able to get through to Miguel because she's like his number one about like he's viewing things the wrong way is gonna be her character redemption.
So I'm going to throw something in here. This was the question I was going to say. I'll ask it here. Conspiracy theory. Is Miguel O'Hara is the character we see? Is he the actual Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099? So let me put out a couple arguments. His character design, specifically what got me going on this. Well, what got me going on this was a couple questions where they keep asking, like, are you the real Spider-Man? Like, are you who you say you are? They ask him kind of questions along those lines a couple times in the movie. He obviously has his thing with his fangs, which they show,
Yeah.
and that they kind of make a point that he's keeping a secret. And I think that's just regular Spider-Man 2099's powers. He has
That's
I think he has venomous
that's
fangs.
Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah.
That's part of who
Um,
he is.
but it's those kind of things combined with, um, his inciting incident was he met another version. Like he went to a universe where there was another version of himself, a very similar universe. Um, and then there's also the character design, which is, again, what tipped me off was the elbows. Because when you go back and watch the first one, and in the comics, I believe his elbow blades are short. They're shorter, and it's two little blades on each elbow instead of the big long scythes.
He had two blades in some shots, or at least it
Okay.
looked like he did. I don't know. I think that there's, I mean, certainly a possibility exists that they're gonna pull that swerve.
It would be very interesting to me if it turns out that, like, he wasn't actually Spider-Man. He didn't have any spider powers at all. He wasn't he was like an imposter. And his webs aren't webs, they're laser webs. So, he could have been like faking it with technology, but it would make a great parallel to Miles, Spider Miles, and Prowler Miles. the dark mirror that was set up at the beginning, at the end of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm reading some notes, I'm on the Spider-Man 2099 Wikipedia page, just making sure I don't mix up some stuff. Apparently, Spider-Man 2099 animated series was considered for 1991, but it was not developed further because Batman Beyond premiered earlier that year.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was probably gonna run right against Batman,
which had
Beyond
covered that
sure.
territory pretty well.
Wow.
Instead, they went with Spider-Man Unlimited,
Cool.
which was not great.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep that as a weird fan conspiracy in the back of my head.
Yeah, I would.
If it pays off, I'll be I'll be fucking vindicated as shit. But if not, then whatever.
I'd be more apt to agree with you if I hadn't seen him presented similarly in other media.
Yeah.
I think the laser webs are kind of standard.
Right.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah,
right.
I just don't know how they would resolve kind of like, it seems like there's a definite, like, when you mess with a canon event, because that's what the kind of the meat and potatoes of this movie is that these canon events that
Bind
want
all the
to be
spider
stopped,
people together.
It holds the universe together, and it could destroy a universe. It's like the I mean, we've seen it time and time again with, like, some other multiverse stuff where when you start to mess with the MCU's kind of established, when you mess with a timeline and these important events. So, like in the Doctor Strange "A What If" episode, when he tries to prevent the death of his the one girl, she, like, the universe falls apart. Like, she always dies in that car accident.
Yeah, it's always. I mean, that's a pretty well-established thing, like with multiverse theory right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look at the Flash. The Flash is going to hit a very similar note in just a few weeks
where he
here.
changes history and therefore makes the world a very different place. Better for worse.
Threatens the integrity of space-time even. But yeah, so like the canon events, things like Uncle Ben or father figure dying, SO dying, all these horrible things that Spider-Man has gone through in every reality. Bind them together and kind of keep the fabric of the universe going. And I'm sure that would apply to multiversal anything with the rules they've established. But it's particularly bad because when they go to India, Spot, getting back to our plot recap.
Yeah.
Spot needs more power. and he Gwen's in the dimension the monitor spot. Spot needs more power, so he builds a mini collider, and that's enough to get him going. And he goes to Spider-Man India's dimension and uses the big Alchemex collider there to become super powerful and scary. And after he succeeds that, they have to do some saving, and Miles prevents the canon event from happening. He saves Inspector Singh and the child. Sing's supposed to die saving the child, which disrupts the canon.
Please put out a Spider-Man Bollywood movie.
That'd be wild.
You could do it. I believe in you.
Yeah. So that starts disrupting the integrity of that dimension. So the Spider people come down to try to save it, and Miles, Gwen, Hobie. We get introduced to Hobie, the Spider Punk.
Yes, who is among the top characters in this movie.
Love him
for how much he's in it. Just an absolute G. They actually put in an actual anarchist character in a corporate product.
Well, he hates consistency.
There's a lot of fan stuff going around. People are saying that are theorizing all that stuff. He's always like grabbing random shit from around. He's like,
oh, I thought that was what he used to build the.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty obvious. I didn't think that was a theory.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't catch on. I didn't make that link specifically for me.
I guess maybe
reading the comments, a lot of other people didn't as well.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection either.
I guess I had the
a lot of sense because he's
benefit
like,
of seeing
you can
it
build
twice.
your own, right? You're a smart dude.
Oh yeah, he did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I had the benefit of watching it twice, but I think I remember thinking that after the first.
I didn't think much of it. I kind of just I was
it's
I thought
one
that
of those.
was his.
It's cool if you notice it, but if you don't, it's not like gonna blow your mind.
I thought maybe he modified his, and that was their way of making it obvious that he gave his to
connection.
Gwen, but I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
The thing that did it for me is when he grabs that thing. He's like, "Look, I bet this doesn't do anything. It's the same color as the watch."
Oh, okay.
At the end, again, use of color, very, very well done in this movie.
Yep. Very good as visual identifiers for sure. Like his character design apparently took like 3 years.
I could
because of all the shit that went into it. Although maybe it's the kind of thing where they did it all longitudinally, so everything, modern movie making, it all comes together right at the end.
An animated movie of this scale, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah, fucking amazing character design there, and yeah, huge part of that story. Side note, if we're talking about the cool alternate spiders, Spider Bite, underrated as a spider ally. Everyone's talking about Hobie, everyone's hyping up Hobie, but she was the one who I feel like is going to be the actual love interest for Miles. Miles and Gwen, they're like they're like brother and sister almost at this point. I want to say I'm sure there are plenty of people who are going to argue if you want to ship them like that.
They definitely play up the romantic aspect of their relationship in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Miles definitely was hitting on Spider Bite.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
1000%.
They were okay. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of flirting going on, but that pays off in that she's the one who lets him get out of there.
Although, unfortunately for Miles, not to the correct universe, because as we learn when he goes back to the Spider Society, we get introduced to all the different Spider people. It's a grand old time.
That's another one where if you were, I even caught this as soon as they moved forward and they were doing that whole sequence. I'm like, oh, he's not in his own world. Like they set that up at the beginning with the whole introduction of the Go Home machine when they explained specifically that it's based on your DNA, and they explained 10 minutes earlier that that Miles has DNA from a different universe as Spider. I'm like,
and okay, we learned that. So afterwards, Miles goes back to Spider Society. He gets introduced to Miguel. And Peter B. Parker comes back into the fray here. He got kind of backseated a lot in this movie. I'm hoping he has a slightly bigger role in the next movie. But if he doesn't, it's okay because he was such a big part of the first movie.
Right. And if we are going to continue on this contention that like Gwen is the secret protagonist, like he and her don't have like a super important relationship. Like he
Yeah,
wasn't a mentor to her.
yeah. They were friendly enough, but they weren't like close. Like, yeah.
Right. So in the context of her story, like I can see why he would step back a little bit.
Though he is the first one she goes and gets uh
That is true.
to save Miles. So, we're back at the Spider Society. Canon events get explained. We see a lot of cool things like Donald Glover as the Prowler. The Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire show up in archive footage.
All the different Spider Peter Parked car.
Peter Parker car was a humorous one.
Oh, the Lego Spider-Man. That was
Lego
excellent.
Spider-Man was great.
I love
You're one of our best.
Yeah, so after he gets explained to canon events, he's told he can't leave the safe his dad. Hobie gives him the encouragement to break out, and then the big chase scene happens, and this is kind of the climax of this movie.
This is the airport fight of this movie.
Everyone's chasing after him. He's doing Miles things. He's evading them. He's ducking and diving. There's a lot of
and the whole time
humor.
when they're doing this, yeah, it's blending action and comedy and like heavy themes.
Yeah,
all being woven together.
Because like the speech that his mom gives him before she lets him go after he gets grounded, is like, you're gonna meet these great people. You're gonna do all these great things, and don't let anyone ever tell you don't belong. And Miguel very specifically tells him he doesn't belong, which activates the fuck you in him.
The fight or flight response has been triggered.
And, they have their showdown, and Miles outmaneuvers him and gets back to the go-home machine. And Spider Bite, lets him pass through. And he gets sent to the wrong dimension, though. He gets sent to Earth 42, which didn't have a Spider-Man, so New York is quite literally on fire in this universe.
Yep.
And this is
gotta love the fact that just the absence of Spider-Man just creates chaos.
Yep.
Well,
but I mean, how else are you going to show how
supervillains-
important Spider-Man is?
And supervillains exist in this world, and there's no superhero to fight them. So it kind of makes sense. Like they pay lip service to the Sinister Six cartel, and that sort of thing. But this is where I think the audience reacts wrong to this scene. Like every time I've seen it so far, when he tells his mom that he's Spider-Man, and she goes, "Who's Spider-Man?" Everyone laughs at that scene, but that's when you're supposed to know, something ain't right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why people would laugh at that.
I think
though.
part of it is people it doesn't even click with them yet. It maybe takes another couple beats for them to kind of come like, oh, this is what's going on. Cause
like the second time I saw it, maybe it was a younger crowd, but people didn't really react until like Gwen said, "Who's in the wrong universe?"
Yeah, that's so. And I saw people online. They were like, "Dude, it totally took me by surprise when he showed up, and when that whole line dropped. I was totally confused." And it's like, now there's one level where you don't pick up on the stuff like Hobie building his own trans-dimensional bracelet, and then there's the next level, which is not picking up on all the visual cues and the story plot where they're obviously bringing everything to this point and setting this up. And again, this isn't like obvious, but it's there
if you have been
capable of that.
attentively watching the movie, it shouldn't take you by surprise. I'll say that.
Or it shouldn't take you by as much surprise. Still quite a twist.
Because even the they were setting up the different universe, ending up in the different universe, Earth 42 is what they call it. Since a little bit earlier in the movie, so it wasn't that long ago that they set that up, and then on top of that, you're entering a dark room.
Literally the scene before when Miguel and he are fighting on the bullet train. Another reoccurring movie theme here. And
Yeah.
he says the spider that bit you came from a different dimension. Like literally the next scene, he uses the go home machine.
And they showed the spider with the 42 on it multiple times, and
Yep.
then the computer says scanning your blood, sending
Earth.
you to Earth 42, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah. Then if they're sending it to the one that spider's from, then he's not.
They
That's not his
mention,
right one.
and they do a decent
They
job of
literally
like,
show a montage of the spider biting his arm and the venom going into his DNA.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing, when they do like a flashback, or when they were talking about them taking the spider out of Earth 42, it was about to bite the Miles Morales that's a prowler at the end, because you see his braids in the
Yeah.
back. So they even set up the braided Miles
Mm-hmm.
Morales from earlier in the film.
yeah. I
It was
actually
just-
didn't catch that. That's a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice. I didn't catch that either, so I have
I
to
mean, this is
shout
this
out
is
to our
part
new
of
rock stars.
the joy of this
Uh,
movie is like movie details is gonna fucking explode.
Yeah,
Once
there are
this-
so many things to catch, which is why I think I'm gonna go see it again tonight.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be on
I'll
the
see it
lookout for
either
a lot of
again
stuff.
tonight or after disc golf tomorrow. Maybe both. Who knows?
Yeah.
Porque no los dos. I got Regal Unlimited, baby. I'm using it this
Yeah,
month.
right.
Yep. This movie ends in a very. I had some more I wanted to say about it. Maybe I'll remember as I'm going, but the movie ends very much like Empire Strikes Back, almost, where everyone's separated, everyone's split up after the big conflict.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's it, and it ends on kind of a little somber note. But how this does it different is that everyone's starting to gear back up.
Yeah, I think it
for-
ends on an optimistic note because, like, you've set the stage, right? Spots come back to Brooklyn. Miguel and Jess are in 1610.
Mhm.
Gwen's gathered the crew, and
after making up with her father.
after
which
making
is
up her
a
father,
great,
which is a big,
great
yeah,
little
that's
scene in
a
itself.
great
That
character
scene of
arc.
him looking like schlubby, like, and it's like the beautiful halo around him.
Yeah.
It's like that's excellent. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Fucking just every scene. Please make a poster background out of everything. You know, like some of the iconic shit, like Miles and Gwen sitting upside down on the building with upside down New York in the background.
Yeah.
Every different universe they go to, Spot in his own dimension. That scene where they're making up right at the end in the apartment. All just insanely beautiful.
And the last,
I haven't paid a lot of attention to the score. The score was great. It fit right in.
The score
I
was
did
good.
notice that they kept the same spider motif from the first movie. They kept the same soundtrack DNA, which is great, which they should be doing. That's a good thing. If you don't do that, poo poo on you.
yeah, I feel like the score was a little bit better in the first one. Because I don't know, I always think of that scene where he first puts it all together as his own version of
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man.
that's iconic. What's up, Danger?
Yeah.
I look that shit up all the time.
Like there was no like music cue
Equivalent.
visual equivalent here, which
Yeah.
is not to say that it's bad or anything. It's just it wasn't there. And the first one I think was better. You can something can be better, and the other thing can still be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last scene in this movie, which is why I say it kind of ends on more of an uplifting note, is him like getting ready to like venom the chains off him and throw down and save his pops.
Mhm.
And then you get hit with the big to be continued. Everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah. There is one scene that I want to talk about. I think it's one of my favorite little subtle scenes in the movie. It's during everyone's split up, but they haven't. It's during that montage where everyone's it's the cool down from the big fight. Everyone's kind of regrouping and knowing what their next move is. They haven't revealed that Miles is in the wrong universe yet. And it's Peter B. Parker putting Mayday to sleep with, back at home. And he comes home from it. And it's just this little scene of just this slice of domestic life that he has and he gets to enjoy. And it's this nice little reprieve in what's supposed to be a pretty dour sort of part of the movie, and it's this little hint of levity, and it's a beautiful little blend. It's coffee and cream right there. And it also highlights like that's kind of his scene, because again, like you said, he doesn't get a lot of screen time relative to some of the other characters, but he does get that scene where he says, you know, he gets to see that, you know, right now he's kind of getting his happily, not ever after, but happy for now. He's got a family. He managed to save I guess that's kind of save his own life from where it was spiraling.
Yeah, he's pulled himself out. He's bettered himself, and I'm really hoping in the next movie, like, the bathrobe comes off, and like we see that he's like back in shape.
If he gets to come in as like classic style Spider-Man,
I think he's supposed to be the 616 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So
probably.
like he should. Like, I would like to see that.
That would be the way. That would be a great kind of finish to his character arc too.
Yeah. So obviously, real excited. Got March 26th, I think, 2024 circled on my calendar.
Good things happen in March.
That's when the next one comes out. So, you know, not quite a year, and we waited 5 for this one, and it was worth the wait. Like, I've never been so excited for a movie that I can remember in a long time, possibly ever, and I'm so relieved that it lived up to lofty expectations and arguably exceeded them. And it's doing commensurate business. It is expected to generate over $120 million in its opening weekend. It had the biggest opening of the year with $51.7 million on Friday. So many people were expected to come see this that there was actual like security at the theater on Friday. It took in $17.3 million in Thursday previews when Peter and I saw it first time. And it was only expected to make $80 million in its first weekend. So it's blowing past that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that like people heeded our advice, saw the first one, and the second one is now being a commensurate financial success.
Yeah. This is also what I wanted to say, just kind of to put a bow on the whole thing. And I told Kurt this after we left the movie when we saw it on Thursday. Like, this is very cheesy Roger Ebert of me, but I will unironically call this movie a triumph.
Yeah, it really is.
It's taken the superhero genre to a place where it has not been before, like to a level that it has not reached yet. I said this kind of during Infinity War. I made a similar point during Infinity War, but I'll say it again here. Like, imagine going back to Raimi, Spider-Man 2 from Raimi back in like 2004, and you just saw Tobey Maguire beat Doc Ock and have him redeemed. And you're like, this Spider-Man is amazing. This is great. Like, hey, I'm here from 20 years in the future. This is what Spider-Man movies look like now. And everyone just gets it. Like, that's the thing. When you have like the very fact there's like a gajillion to jillion million billion Spider-Men in this, and they all have their own thing going on, and there's all this shit happening, and everyone just gets it. That's crazy.
Yeah. It really is.
That it's a super wide release, and everyone's laughing at like weird deep cuts and like obscure ass cameos.
Fucking memes, pointing at each other.
If you ask someone in 2004, what's animated movies? And they go, Disney and Simpsons and anime. And anime at that time was like Full Metal Alchemist, not even Brotherhood. And you go, this is what animated movies look like now.
Yeah.
And everyone gets it. Like, it's crazy. It's such a
crazy
state of the art. It's state of the art.
In our lifetime, we went from like X-Men being a risky niche project for Fox to
oh, you're gonna make a superhero movie? Oh,
like, and obviously they had tried Marvel movies in the mid 90s and they all fucking sucked. So like the fact that we've come this far in the genre, and like not only from a financial and like big event perspective, like it was with Endgame and Infinity War. Not to say that those weren't good movies, also, because that era of Marvel was more often than not pretty good. But like I said, this is art. Like this is like cinematic, what people refer to as like artsy cinema, like classic cinema, good cinema. This is it, man. This is an artistic effort that happens to be about a comic book character that a lot of people really like, and to the shock of no one, it's like not only is this going to win best animated picture, I expect it to be nominated for best picture, and it's got a decent shot of winning it. I don't know if the Academy would ever really award Best Picture to a comic book movie, but if ever there was, there's a first time for everything, and if ever there was one that wasn't The Dark Knight, it would be this one.
Exactly. The fucking the gloves are off. The dick has been slapped out on the table.
The challenge has been
the measurement has been taken.
Yeah.
This is the standard. I won't say this is the standard, but this is the peak. This is what everyone else in the industry.
This is the new litmus
should be looking
test.
For. Yeah. The top contender.
For sure. All right, well
that's Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that's Spider-Verse Across the Spider-Verse. We'll be back next week. Thank you for tuning in to episode 369 of the Saturn Studs Podcast. Until next time, be well, stay safe, and party like it's 1995.
Peace.
Bye-bye.